Listen up, sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in live here on a Friday on the Snake Sports Talk Show, live in Denver, Colorado, wherever and however you may be watching and listening. Thanks for making us a part of your day. Roku, iHeartRadio, and all social medias. Known to man. Lots of stuff to talk about. NFL Prime Predictions Week 7. Stuff is getting heated up. And I am looking forward to keeping the streak alive tonight. So, lots of stuff to really get into. Plus, of course, postseason baseball has been going strong, bigger, and better than ever. And it has been a lot of fun up until this point. But I do want to start with last night's game where things were really getting interesting here. It was getting really interesting, but at the same time, I felt like that game itself was an absolute snooze fest. I mean, I didn't even get anything out of that game. The only thing I got was Sean Payton literally steamrolling his former team, and it just goes to show the New Orleans Saints right now are an absolute fraud. I mean, that's literally what this looked like. It looked like it was not even close. The Saints got absolutely marginalized, and I have no other way to really put it. They were red hot in the first 2 games of the season. And they looked like this. I mean, it was bad. But the focus was on Sean Payton. Okay, Sean Payton, since he came into New Orleans, all right, we all remembered it at the time when Hurricane Katrina happened and what the state of the team was. There were brown bags literally all over the place. Everybody was all wearing brown bags because of how bad the Saints really were. They didn't even look like a real team. And yet Sean Payton coming out, and yet he learned from under Bill Parcells. Came into this New Orleans team. They get Drew Brees in a trade with the Chargers because they were then leading the charge with Phillip Rivers. It worked out perfectly onto both ends. It really did. The fact that the Chargers got their franchise quarterback, and yet the Saints have now a franchise quarterback to lean on Drew Brees. And yet Sean Payton coming into New Orleans, and with the amount of just the pieces around them, they had to work through an entire mess. They were virtually unwatchable. Okay, we remember the history of Archie Manning, their quarterback. We remember the time when like Sam Mills and Joe Horn, and I mean, the last quarterback that they ended up having was Aaron Brooks. Okay, and before he ended up going to the Raiders. This was so bad, like you couldn't even watch this team. Sean Payton comes in, and then there's Marquise Colston, Deuce McAllister, Reggie Bush, and then the entire defense. They ended up acquiring Jonathan Vilma. They ended up getting Darren Sharper and Roman Harper. There was a lot of very good pieces I liked later on by the time Sean Payton worked this. And Mickey Loomis, the owner, or Mickey Loomis, the GM, I mean, you looked at this entire franchise. Once Payton got into the building, the attitude changed. And Sean Payton, a lot of people feel like, would look like a fraud with Denver. Why? Because the fact that Russell Wilson was just too overly optimistic and caring more about his brand than caring about the state of the team. I mean, it just was not good enough. And Sean made it vocalized. Okay, things were not working well. But once he got Bo Nix, and this is the funny part. Okay, you look at that box score from Denver and New Orleans last night. Bo Nix, 16 of 26, 164 passing yards, no touchdowns, no pick, a quarterback rating of 79. Okay, that was, you would have never expected this. And yet Bo Nix, and what we've said before, is that Bo was not going to be a Caleb Williams. He was not going to end up being like a Drake May or a Jaden Daniels. But Bo Nix did, in fact, have enough college experience starts. And the only way to make this succeed is if you groom him with a coach who has a lot of NFL experience. And that's Sean Payton. And mostly because of this, I mean, yeah, you look at their offensive coordinator. I mean, they ran the football efficiently last night. Javonte Williams with 14 carries, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns in that game. I mean, this Saints team is a mixture of just a lot of old pieces. Marshawn Lattimore, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan. There are so many old pieces on this roster, offensively, defensively. No Rashid Shaheed now. He's out for the year. Chris Olave was not there. And you had a young quarterback in Spencer Rattler who just got rattled. Okay, 25 of 35. No touchdowns, no picks. Had an 82 rating, and just about slightly better than Bo Nix. But the only difference is, what do the Saints really have? They go back to being the old Saints that they were before Sean Payton arrived. Dennis Allen, this was part of my reservation about him. And I think realistically, they've become frauds. And so without a Sean Payton now, this coaching staff, I mean, I like Clint Kubiak in some ways, but it's too old. Look at a lot of teams that got rid of old, hurt, existing contracts. Look at the Buffalo Bills. What are they doing right? They now win and got Amari Cooper. They added in with offense. And yet their defense being young, Taron Johnson and Taylor Rapp, they made some big-time plays against the Jets last week. And so the Chargers even got rid of a lot of old existing contracts, most of them up in offense, and even for a couple of them. But the defense seems so young, but yet mixtures of veteran guys. And the defense right now is the number 1 scoring defense. Okay, many teams go through this. Even the Buccaneers have a young defense, but offensively, they're scoring points. They're getting into shootouts with a bunch of other teams. This is just kind of the reality of what it is. But from a culture standpoint, once Sean Payton left the building, what do you have left? Same thing with Drew Brees. Who is your quarterback? And for as bad as the Saints literally looked like, once both Payton and Sean and Drew Brees left, what are the Saints? What are they past this? I mean, I love Alvin Kamara, but I just feel like if you're going to do a service, you move them on to a contending team, because this is just not working. You got to start thinking about getting an entire shift going. Dennis Allen is not the answer. I mean, he's winning 35% of these games. I mean, I like Clint Kubiak. I thought things were going to end up getting better after the first 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, I got fooled. They're now 2-5. So The Saints really have to make something happen. But from Sean Payton's standpoint and what he's about to do in Denver, Vegas had them rated for winning 5 games this year. I had them winning more than that. I had them sitting in 3rd in the AFC West when I did my entire AFC West breakdown. I think they would have been an 8-9, maybe a 9-win team, but that's as close as I could get it. But I could be on the positive note with Sean Payton, knowing that there is a lot of things that are going to end up moving around. But I just felt like that was just horrendous. It was so bad. Like the Saints, I know in a short week, this did not look good. And the Broncos were without Pat Surtain. But yet, Barton comes away with one of the big plays. And what do you do now if you're the Saints? Because you are in, I think, arguably a division in the NFC South where you've got Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, who have a much better defense than they do. You've got the Buccaneers, who are clearly still a capable, competitive team that I think can end up making the playoffs, especially with the way that the state of the NFC East is looking like. There could be some teams that could end up sliding in here. And even when I look at the NFC West, so there's possibilities for this. But the Buccaneers are clearly playing better football. I mean, the Panthers are going to be the Panthers. But then here you are as the Saints. I mean, this is looking like a laughing stock right now. The Saints I don't even know what team they are. I can't figure this out. And so, to me, the best thing that you could possibly do if you are the Saints, because they are going to be in cap hell. They are not going to be able to afford a lot of pieces. I could promise you that. They're going to end up having to move on some of this stuff. So if I'm the New Orleans Saints, I'd be doing whatever that I can, move some pieces, get them out of there, and start getting some draft capital. That's why a lot of teams that did this, Buffalo did this, but Tampa's doing this, the Chargers did this, and a couple teams have ended up doing this because they want to keep the consistency of the team. Sometimes you're meant to move on from some players. You are meant to have different schematics and different coaching. This is just what happens. What's worse about this is that it's a coach, it's a quarterback thing, and then it's a roster problem for everything of New Orleans. And this is everything that we've seen built upon for years with Sean Payton, with this team. And now he's out the building. Drew Brees is retired. What are you? What exactly is the New Orleans Saints? So, again, I just think that whole game looked like a snooze fest. It was Broncos just steamrolling them all the way through. Okay, I've got real good friends of mine close by. I mean, I even talked about this with Ross Jackson. I mean, this was initially a team that you thought could have made some positive changes, but it feels a lot like they're reverting back to themselves, reverting back to the old selves before Payton and before Brees came in. And it's not looking good. All right. Good stuff. Lots of stuff to really think about here, especially with playoff baseball still going on. Right now, as I've checked, now there's going to be a couple things that are going to happen here. So I've talked about this, but this is going to be very, very interesting. So we know the Chiefs playing the 49ers. I'll talk a little bit about that because this is going to be very interesting. But reports already in New York, Davante Adams looks fantastic, doesn't he? And then goes a full go. He's a full go for the Jets debut. Once they start playing the Steelers. That's going to be an interesting game. Right now, it's 6-12. Mets right now over the Dodgers. And I'll tell you one thing, because a lot of people, this is what I cannot stand, is like I listened to Coward earlier today, literally thinking that this series is over. This series is a wrap, that they were going to wrap it up tonight. No, they're not. Stop throwing a lot of these teams dead in the water. That's not how postseason baseball's done. Teams could literally crawl back from this any given point. When you start jinxing this whole thing and you start looking at it like this, what do you think is going to happen? Some teams are going to honestly turn around and they're just gonna go on fire. And that's literally how it is. And I mean, that Mets offense tonight, I mean, they are putting up some runs. And I know Pete Alonso getting the home run as he did and the 3 RBIs, I mean, yeah. I just don't leave that there. I really don't. I will not make it as obvious. But here's the thing, though, too. Mookie Betts has still been staying on fire. So he's still hitting the ball. I felt like the young kid, Pages, already 2 home runs. Great. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And even from what magic we got last night, because I felt like that Guardians and Yankees game was just perfect for baseball. It really, really is. I mean, if you truthfully look at it, there has not been any sure sign of just like no dull baseball. Seriously. I mean, it's incredible. And that energy in Cleveland, in Progressive Field, if anybody's ever been there, I mean, I know I hear it a lot with Chase. But that atmosphere was just something magical. So we'll talk a little bit more about that here coming back from the break. But yeah, just amazing stuff. I just could not even believe it. So, all right. Well, guys, like I talked about, sports betting has been unbelievable up to this point, and we've got the best segment here later on the show. NFL prime predictions, but of course, all of our odds are provided by BetUS. When you start, do not miss out on all the daily content for you right now during this amazing NFL season, postseason baseball bets as well, NBA season right up around the corner, and college football still going on. BetUS has you covered for every single contest, and also one of their best sports books in the country for over 30 years. Okay, best expertise, best analysis to keep you on the edge of your game when it comes to single parlay leg bets, whatever bets you are making and choosing from. Also giving you the best casino experience as well through their casino side when you download it up online today. All right, when you sign up, $50 or more to your deposit, matching it up to 125% bonuses of up to $2,000 in your first 3 deposits. Giving you more chances to win big and more chances to play and get on the edge of your game. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER and call the number in your respective states. Seek therapy and seek the help you need today. And because BetUS always ensures you gamble responsibly. And also, the best part, when you sign up, you will all have your own personal account managers to giving you the best experience when using BetUS. BetUS, where the NFL season begins.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Con Man, live on the Sports Corner, coming to a screen near you, giving you the greatest stories from basketball legends you've never seen before. Sharing their glory, building the toughness, and how they show off their swag. But only one man knows all that, and that's the Con Man. Join Michael Conceição, the Con Man, at the Sports Corner, Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 Pacific, on Sportsway Network.
Snake Sports Talk Show is sponsored by Muscle Tech, with hundreds of supplements and vitamins to choose from, all packed with 100% all-natural proven ingredients. You can be sure that Muscle Tech will give you the edge and the boost to train and look like your fit and healthy best, whatever your goals are. Try Muscle Tech today and use promo code SNAKESPORTS to save 30% off your purchases.
Well, we witnessed an absolute stunner last night. I mean, I'm sitting there comfortable with my wife. And, you know, because to me, I sometimes I'm pretty guilty about this at times, where I just have a journalist mindset every time when I'm there. And usually I'm always held accountable when it comes to social medias, and when it also comes to media as a whole. Like I have to be accountable for my stuff, and that's usually how it usually goes down. I mean, our society, we're a caffeinated society. We have to be in the know of what all is happening in the world, and that's usually us. So, you know, again, I'm digging through, and this is usually how my show is. I have to make sure that I have at least the right script. I have at least, you know, all the stuff. Like, I do my homework. I have everything that I need to in order for me to start up my show and talk with all of you guys of what's been going on, what's happening, and give you more better insights. Because sometimes, like, look, there are some people, at least in the media world, and I'm not going to point them out, but they come up with some of these takes that it leaves us screaming, leaves us pissed off, and leaves us kind of going wild and out. I try not to do that. I try to at least give more context, give more clarity, and make it more balanced so it's understandable for you guys. So as I'm strolling through, I watched a lot of the highlights, but I felt a lot like that Cleveland and Yankees matchup. I mean, this is fun. And it's good for baseball, and especially it's good too for even for ratings, because of the fact that we have stories. And then we even have the teams that you know are just, they're kind of the high odd favorites, right? To even getting here, which is one of the most incredible things. So, you know, to me, I'm watching this series, and I knew for a fact, I feel like the Yankees could win this series against the Guardians. I mean, Chase might not like hearing me say that, but I just kind of see this with the roster, top to bottom. I don't know how on earth, you know, I think about this sometimes, and it's incredible. It really is incredible. And I think for some of this, it's just such a good watch. I love watching postseason baseball all the time. I mean, with Guardians, Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, the Guardians were at a point where they were just fighting the Yankees all the way through. And like the Mets, they did not want to go down that easily. They really, really didn't. And the Mets win tonight, by the way. That's the scoring update. 12-6 is the final score. So that means this series is coming back to LA. 2 more games. So LA may have a chance to shut this down Sunday. But there, you know, again, the Mets were trying to find some sort of juice. I don't even think that they had it in them, like at some point, but I was never going to put them dead in the water. I felt like they probably could sneak up one at home. It's maybe the best thing that you could possibly do, but that's kind of the tale. But when I look at this Yankees-Guardians game, which is currently going on, it has been a fun watch to this point. Like, it really has. And, I mean, who does Cleveland Stars, Jose Ramirez, and I felt like, too, Jhonkensy Noel and David Fry, they were the stars of the night. And for that game to literally go as close as it did and to walk it off the way it did, there's some bits in audio that we've gotten from last night's game. I just couldn't help but just sit and watch this and just think how damn good October baseball really is.
High, deep to left, away, out of here! Swung on, hit high, hit deep to left. There she goes. How about that? A walk-off, two-run home run to the bleachers and left by David Fry. And the magical 2024 season is not done by any means.
I love the Cleveland commentator. So energetic, but you could feel that. I mean, hell, even when Ken Anderson was making this call, I mean, it was unbelievable. And Jhonkensy Noel, I thought that was probably the best. That was probably the best fuel I've seen for at least a team in quite a while. Usually there's a lot of those. There's plenty of those in postseason baseball. There always is. But I felt like that one in particular, that one was just something special. That was incredible. And it really lifted a lot of Cleveland's fans. And it's fascinating to me. So much of just how I see this and the game itself just going tit for tat. And like Cleveland got it done. That was a very impressive walk-off itself. It was an impressive rally all the way up to it. Noel ends up tying the game 5-5. David Fry, a guy that not a lot of people have really watched all throughout the season, and his center fielder, he gets the job done. I mean, there's no better story than that. And listen, Cleveland has been a team that I've never been able to figure them out. It seems like they've shipped up a bunch of players because, look, I remember the time, like for Cleveland, where they had Manny Ramirez and Jim Thome and multiple others, and even at the time in the 90s where they had their role, they had their run. Then Cleveland, of course, later on, Casey Blake, CC Sabathia, and then fast forwarded more when Terry Francona took on the job. After Manny Acta, they fired him, Justin Masterson, and Travis Hafner, and even for Matt Laporta. Like, there was a bunch of guys that were like not a whole lot of namers. Even Ryan Garca was fun to watch. But Cleveland has had some guys. I mean, they've come and gone, and even from that 2016 World Series run with them and the Chicago Cubs, which was a lot of fun, and Chicago breaks the curse. I mean, it was a very impressive roster, even with that one. So there's lots of things that you could like about postseason baseball. There really is. I just feel like right now there's so much of this that I could honestly enjoy. And I feel like this World Series, it's gearing up to where we may potentially have a Yankee-Dodger World Series. I think that's what a lot of people are betting their highest bucks on, is that World Series. Because if you really think about it, I don't really see this becoming more than, a Subway Series. I just don't. I just don't know if it really would feel the same. Now, if the Guardians somehow, and I'm not saying that this could be like I'm leaving this because usually postseason baseball, anything can happen here. But I do feel like there's a part of this that it's quite possible that the Guardians could come out of this where it'd be a close enough series itself, but it'll be fun enough to watch them through. I think they could end up winning it if they could. It's quite possible. But this postseason baseball has been exciting. It's been so exciting. It's been so much thrillers left and right. Can't help yourself. Just can't help it. You got to love baseball for what it is every year in October. Time now for the news.
This is the Hot Press.
Just can't really explain it best enough. Usually you just got to go watch the games. You just got to watch the postseason as it goes. So news, of course. So Davante Adams, who's officially in New York with the Jets and with Aaron Rodgers, after the trade with the Raiders, this was clearly something that this is Aaron Rodgers' team. So Davante Adams, who missed his final 3 games with the Raiders because of a hamstring injury, has recovered and will have a full workload for the Jets on Sunday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So something that Jeff Ulbrich, the interim coach, mentioned about it, he basically had this to say with Davante Adams coming in and what he's looked like in camp. We didn't know what to expect with him coming here. Obviously, he'd been listed on the injury report with the hamstring, so we had to make an assessment once he got here, and he looks fantastic. Do I honestly think... do I honestly believe that this was coincidence? I mean, this was all in all Davante Adams' way of like he wanted out of the Raiders. He clearly wanted out. It's just there's just no other way to really explain this. But the Raiders, of course, their hope is that he produces to where that compensated pick, the conditional pick, becomes a second rounder instead of a third. All right. And so my guess is that, with Aaron Rodgers being here at the helm, because this is clearly his team, okay, you already got Robert Saleh out of the building. But you better hope that Davante Adams is just as every bit good as you hope he would be. So, I mean, I've said this before, I just don't know. Like, again, I don't think that Davante Adams makes the team good, but I don't think he's solely the piece that will move a team to where they honestly are that competitive. I just don't. I think, if anything, in my opinion, I mean, it makes you good on paper, but I'd have to see how the coaching staff really reacts to this. I would have to see how the offensive play call literally pans itself out. Because if not a lot of those, then that's where things are going to look pretty dicey, if you ask me. I mean, I'm keeping my tabs. I'm keeping my eyes on everything. It's certainly not a game that I mean, especially with that Pittsburgh defense. That's one thing that I'm like, the Jets offense, and especially with the way of how stagnant it was. Now, again, that could be many possible reasons. But I just don't think that he is the absolute uplifter is what I'm trying to get at. I think they'll look good. I think there was some improvements on the offense, but I don't think that he's just solely the needle that moves this team a lot. Because it all just has to solely depend on Aaron Rodgers, and it all has to solely depend on some of the decision making. Because if it's looking like it's not good, then that's where a lot of tempers really start to flare up, and that's what I'm afraid of. So again, you could bet your 2 cents up on that, but that's exactly with where I think could be headed in that direction. All right. Oh, yeah, this was a good one. So the 49ers, we know, have a Super Bowl rematch against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 5-0. They're coming off a bye. Usually I try not to gamble against the Chiefs and against Andy Reid because of how good he is after a bye. But my gut feeling with it is that I think the Niners will end up having something up their sleeve. And so word is that rookie wide receiver Ricky Pearsall is cleared to play. So Pearsall's been out for at least 6 weeks. But he's been cleared up, was at practice. He looked very good. Now, Juwan Jennings is out, but they do have Kittle. They do have Debo. They do have at least a couple of their pieces there. But yeah, even Jordan Mason with a left shoulder, he's back. So I think you're going to see a bunch of Ricky Pearsall in some of these plays. Because the problem of it is right now, Brandon Ayuk, who signed that massive contract, hasn't done jack squat. He has not even scored, by the way. Has yet to even score a passing touchdown. And I think a lot of that is the 49ers are making a point because of right now the way that he's kind of handled himself. After that whole not showing up and all that other stuff, it really has not looked the same. At all. I just am I'm looking at this very clearly, and I'm like, it's not that they're not going to target him the ball. That's not the problem. The problem of it is that with all of that, Brandon Ayuk, he's kind of feeling right now the weight of the bag. And I just think with the way that this has looked, I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be, because Kyle Shanahan is, in fact, that kind of coach that it's you watch them very upfront and closely, and I just think he kind of evaluated this this has just been a bad rap for Brandon Ayuk. It's not looked good on his end. The fact that he's not scoring, the fact that he is not getting involved at all. I just think this in itself, we'll see. But I think it was really good seeing Ricky Pearsall getting some snaps, getting some reps. They've been very happy of the fact of what he's looked like up in camp thus far. So that's a good sight to see. And I'm thinking, though, it may be pretty interesting to watch him and seeing the amount of targets that he gets. That's the one thing I'm looking forward to. But, yeah, Ricky Pearsall cleared back. He'll be ready to play. Even with Jordan Mason, Debo, and Kittle. This will be an interesting one, but I will not be surprised how Kansas City really kind of handles this one. So, final news here. Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors is now healthy, but he said his concussion protocol was definitely one that was scary. And so the part in it that we'll have film to talk about was he doesn't even remember that concussion itself, which was very, very scary. And a lot of people, when you think about concussion protocols, these are no joke. None of these are. These are the kind that you don't wish this upon anybody, but you hope that they are very conscious. They have their conscience there, because again, anything could happen at this point. So Malik Neighbors, he talked about that after the concussion, how he feels as of right now, getting geared up and getting ready for the next game ahead.
I mean, it was scary when I couldn't remember what happened or couldn't remember the last play I was in. So yeah, it was kind of scary.
What did you make about all the fuss and the hubbub that was made about you going to the concert?
I mean, that's my business. I mean, what I do outside this facility has nothing to do with what the media thinks or whatever they got going on. So that's my business. So I'm gonna keep that in house.
What do you think of the idea? I mean, people naturally just say, hey, if I have a concussion, I wouldn't go to a concert because the lights and stuff, it could trigger something. And
I mean, that's their business. If they research about a concussion, if they research about what caused a concussion, what makes it worse, and on the internet, if they say it's the lights, hearing, then that's on them. I didn't face anything with the lights. They asked me if I had a problem with lights, I told them no. Having problems with the sound, I told them no. So, I mean, Isaiah asked me any kind of questions that I needed, if my head was going to be hurting while it was going to be loud, the lights, and I said no. I said I've been playing loud music since after the concussion in the car. I go out with the lights on. I play the game with lights. So, I mean, I ain't have anything with my lights. It wasn't making my head hurt.
So, yeah, he will be ready for this up-and-coming matchup. It'll be interesting, though, watching the just really kind of keeping an eye on the prime predictions, because this is some spicy stuff from here. So I really am curious how this is honestly going to play itself out. But there's going to be some very, very good ones. I've got them all ready. But I'm telling you, the Giants, though, this is an interesting one. I don't think a lot of people are really going to like me after – I put this out there because, this is going to be, I'm telling you, I think this is going to be a very competitive game between them and the Eagles at home, which is a big plus. But I think he'll be fine to an extent. I think if anything else, like concussion protocols, I mean, yeah, they are not fun. They're not fun at all. I've seen this happen before where just players, they lose this kind of consciousness. And yeah, usually when it's like a lot of people, when you think about this with as far as the lights, the sounds, all the rest of it, I mean, yeah, it's a very scary kind of thing to think about. But I really do think hopefully be all right. All right, so that is your hot press.
This is the hot press.
All right, so I've got at least a fantasy football question. I have a question. Should I start Gibbs at the flex and put Brian Robinson as my running back one? Kamara did not perform. I mean, absolutely. I think both those running backs, because I do think Detroit, like they are going to be very reliant on the run. Because I just see this really working it this way. So, but yeah, I would definitely do that for sure. All right, so without further ado, NFL Prime predictions have been incredible up to this point. And we've just been on fire the last couple days, or the last couple weeks. I'm excited for this one, and I think it's really going to go down. It's really going to go down as one that, because there are some heavy favorites that I trust and that I like in these positions. So I am not at all worried about what the possibilities will be for any of these. I really am not. I think these are some pretty damn good matchups. So here we go. NFL Prime predictions. Cue the play.
Let's turn it up. It's Jake's Prime Predictions.
So our first matchup in London is against two 1-5 teams between the Patriots and the Jags. I'm going to take the New England Patriots here at +6. And the reason of this, listen, the Jags are they are not looking impressive at all. If anything else, right now, that defense has looked like an absolute tire fire from the secondary. And then not to mention, offensively, I mean, I like Tank Bigsby, but this Jags team, nothing's working for them. And, I mean, they lost last week in London, and so it feels to me like rookie quarterbacks that come up and they play in London, they just so happen to just play really good. So I think, to me, Drake May, by the way, nobody has a whole lot of film. And despite the loss, despite all of that, I felt like Drake May had a better showing than Spencer Rattler, if you really want me to be honest. Now, I know New England doesn't have a whole lot of weapons, but you know what they do have? They, at the very least, will have a franchise quarterback that will throw, even with a weak secondary like Jacksonville on the road. I will take the Patriots to win here and cover 24-20. Battle of the Birds here between the Seahawks and the Falcons. I'm going to take the Falcons at -3. That defense, I know it's been a little bit kind of shaky here and there, but it has been able to hold up on its own. And Kirk Cousins, he's making the important throws right now for what the Falcons are looking like at this point. When you start seeing how the Falcons, they've been playing now in the last couple of weeks, it feels to me like the offense is slowly cooking. It's slowly starting to get to itself the way that it's supposed to. Now, the Seahawks, however, that last Thursday night game against the 49ers, forget about it. They're already without an offensive tackle. They're already without two of their corners, Trey Brown and Reek Woolen. That's not good. And so, to me, I know that right now the Falcons have lost at least a couple of their defensive pieces, but Justin Simmons, if they get him back, he's questionable right now, but if they get him back, the Falcons right now in the last 5 games, they're already 4-1. And I just feel like right now they've been keeping things kind of hefty. They made a big-time win against Carolina, and I know a division rival opponent, you got to come away with it. But the Seahawks already, 3-game losing streak between Detroit, the Giants, and the Niners. Only 2 of the 3 that we know are legitimate contenders. That's not looking pretty promising for the Seahawks at all. And now they're going to go against another promising contender. I will take the Falcons at home with a -3 and get them to win 27-20. All right, well, we get a chance to see Amari Cooper in that Bills uniform. I'm going to take the Bills. This is my highest favorite at 9.5. I know a lot of people are thinking I may be nuts. I may be crazy about this. But here's the thing about the Buffalo Bills. When you go and you acquire a veteran wide receiver like that, even with Khalil Shakir that was out in the previous outing, I mean, this is what was big. They win a big divisional rival matchup against the Jets. Now, of course, they have lost against the Ravens and the Texans in the last 5 outings. But they're 3-2, which was very, very good. They've been able to win both their matchups divisionally against the Dolphins and the Jets, which is important. But against a team like the Tennessee Titans, who were coming off of a bye, they lost against the Colts. This is not looking as promising right now for the Titans, but I love their defense. It's not going to be as simple and as easy, but I think adding in Amari Cooper gives you a little more of a boost offensively, especially with these young wide receivers. I'll take the Bills, the high, heavy favorite. I think they're capable of covering up the points. Tennessee with Will Levis, I've already dropped all of that. Levis is just, I've sold out on that. I don't think it's really looking good right now on offense with their quarterback situation. I think D-Hop is going to end up leaving this team on a via trade. I will take the Bills here, 33-20. Big herd rush at home in Buffalo. All right, divisional rival matchup between the Bengals and Browns. I'll take the Bengals here. The Browns have been looking like an absolute dumpster fire right now. Seems to me, after Amari Cooper leaves, I mean, this offense is going to look pretty bad. And even with Deshaun Watson, they haven't decided to sit him out at all. Kevin Stefanski had literally came out and said that they're looking to go with Deshaun at least for the foreseeable future. But right now, this team is 1-5. And I mean, in the last 5 outings, they've already only won 1. This does not look good at all for the Browns. And for the Bengals, by the way, don't kid yourself if they're 2-3 right now. Look at some of the points that they put up. They put up 25. They put up 33. They put up 24. They even put up 38. They're capable of putting points on the board. It may have looked less against the Giants, but think about that pass rush. It was a lot for the Bengals, but they are not afraid to put points up on the board. And Joe Burrow is honestly having at least a little silent MVP caliber type of year right now. If you look at it, it's been all Burrow and company. Over 1,500 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. That feels a lot like an MVP kind of status, despite the way that the Bengals look. I'll take the Bengals here on the road, winning this game in a division rival matchup with the Browns just looking as hot mess as they are, 28-21 here on the road. All right, this is actually a pretty fun matchup, the Texans and the Packers. I will take the Texans plus the 3 points. But I honestly feel like because of the way that this game is set up between the Packers and the Texans are in fact a very good team. But mind you, they have been tested in some of these areas, and they're going to get tested again against this defense. Now, the last 5 games for both these teams, they're both 4-1. But the difference of it is the Packers, even without Jordan Love, they came away with a win against the Colts. They came away with a win against the Titans. Once he came back, they were in a close stretch against the Minnesota Vikings. Only 31-29. Now, the Texans, they took a big L against the Minnesota Vikings, which their defense was very good. Only limited them to 7 points. Now, New England was one that we knew that was a big win. But Buffalo, in a close game like that, it was giving them fits. Now they're going to come in against a team like Green Bay with Xavier McKinney and a couple others in that secondary. That defense of Green Bay, I'm not going to take very lightly. I'll take the points of Houston at +3, but I think in Lambeau, Green Bay has a very good shot at making this game close, but close enough to where I think this is a good game thriller, 28-27, but I'll take the Texans points just for that reason. All right, so the Dolphins are going yet again with Tyler Huntley. I'm going to go with the Colts here at -3 with Anthony Richardson. I'm not too confident in it. This is a stay-away game for me personally because the Colts with Joe Flacco and the way that things have looked up on it, I mean, the team has actually looked pretty decent. But in these last couple of outings, I mean, they've won a close game, a division rival, 20-17 against the Titans. They lost to the Jags very closely, but the Colts are just kind of treading up a little bit on this high end. But the Dolphins right now, I mean, you've clearly seen they needed that win against the Patriots. With the way that things looked last week, that was when Jacoby Brissett was starting. But the Dolphins right now, they're just waiting for Tua to get that. If they could take away this game, honestly, and get them at the 300 mark before he gets there, that would be That'd be something interesting. But I just think right now with the Colts, with Anthony Richardson back up on this, this is one that I think could be an opportunity for the Colts at home against the Dolphins. I mean, this is a chance for them to really kind of take advantage of it. I'll take the Colts at home with Miami and the way that they've looked offensively. I'll take the Colts to win 27-20. This is a very good division rival marquee matchup. I'll take the Vikings at -1 at home. Listen, I love the Detroit Lions, okay? I'm not talking horrible about them. But they did lose their pass rusher in Aiden Hutchinson, which is a big deal because now a lot of their defensive front between Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport, that's not a good deal. And then not to mention, too, Kyle Pecco. He's also been on IR. And Carlton Davis is questionable. That defense right now has a little bit shaken up. But however, with Minnesota and the way that they've been playing it, now Sam Darnold, to some degree, has kind of been a little bit shaky, and especially with the way they beat the Jets in London, it's kind of a little bit hard to kind of come back down to earth. But we know that the Lions in the last 2 games have been putting up points almost over 50. And so I don't know if they'll be able to do that against a legit defense like the Vikings in this one. I'll take the points here for the Vikings at home, and I'll take them to win against the Detroit Lions because I do think defensively they may be a little bit shaken up. They're going to ask that secondary to do twice the workload. I'll take the Vikings to win 27-24. As much as I don't like right now situationally with how the Eagles are, I'll take the Giants in the +3 points. And the only reason of this is because the Eagles, to me, have just not looked intimidating. What is the issue? I think a lot of this has to be the head coaching, situational play. I just don't think that this offense looks as intimidating as we think that it may look. Now, they do have A.J. Brown back. They do have a couple of their stars coming back. But however, they are without Byron Young. They are without Dallas Goedert. So, and it's questionable right now with Darius Slay. And right now, the Giants, we know right now they have at least a little bit of some issues of their own. But they are slowly cooking into some areas. Now, they may have been 2-3, but look at some of the games that they've been able to play. They ended up not playing as well against Cincinnati, but they played at least decent against the Cowboys. They played at least decent against the Seattle Seahawks. So there's a bit of that's optimistic. And at least for the Eagles, I mean, that was a close win against Cleveland and a close win against New Orleans. That's why I'm like, I do not trust with where the points are at this point right now. So I will take the Giants at the +3. I still do believe the Eagles will win this game, but I think as close as it gets, I think that the Eagles come away with at least a 1-point margin, but at least the +3 can save me a bit for the Giants. I'll take it there, 24-23. Philly gets the win on the road. Now, the Raiders are without Davante Adams. Now, I was talking about this a while back with some good friends of mine. And you know what? With the way that the injuries have decimated on both sides and the way that the Rams have been looking, they're coming off a bye. I'm going to take the Raiders here at the +7 because I don't know if it's honestly going to be convincingly for me. So, but I do think the Raiders are going to be playing for something right now because without Davante Adams out, Tommy Eichenberg, their linebacker, out. So they got 2 of their linebackers out, and Dylan Parham, their interior guard, is out. But however, Cooper Kupp is questionable to be coming back. But even their offensive tackle and their D tackle are both on IR. So the Rams right now are kind of playing right now with some damaged goods as 1-4. But the Raiders right now, my only question is, with Davante Adams out, does this kind of give them a breath of fresh air, or will this still be the kind of Raiders team here? But I just don't really like how wonky this this matchup itself seems to be, but the last time the Raiders were in this building and they got away with a big win, it was a massive win over the Chargers last year where they put up 63 points. And Aiden O'Connell is the starting quarterback. I'll take the Raiders with the way things are shifting. No Devontae Adams, Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers. They got some spots here that they know can work. I'll take them to win here very closely against the Rams, 24-21. There's not much I really got to say about this one. This is another one that's a convincing favorite for me. Commanders -9.5. I mean, the Panthers right now are just basically the Panthers at 1-5. It's just sad enough. But Jaden Daniels, as I said, he's looking like the kind of quarterback right now in his rookie start where he's already has 1,400 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, and only 2 picks. The guy is just so accurate. The Commanders really have made a huge turnaround, in my opinion. In the last 5 games, 4-1, where they had a pretty damn good game against Baltimore in that loss. But the rest of their wins, I mean, this is going to be another one of those ones that playing against the Panthers feels a lot like a cupcake game to me. I'll take the Commanders convincingly here with the points, 30-20 at home. The Super Bowl rematch between the Chiefs and the 49ers. I'm going to take the Chiefs +1. The only reason of this is it's just going to be one of those games which I think could come down to the wire. And there's only so many close games that Kansas City can play before it's honestly just like you're going to suffer your first loss. Now, they are without Mike Dana, their defensive end. Juju Smith-Schuster right now, they're saying that he may potentially be out. So they may be out another receiver now, and you've got Sky Moore and Xavier Worthy. So they got to generate a run game. They got to generate anything that they possibly can. Now, the Niners in the last few games, they've won against a division opponent, the Seahawks, on Thursday night, very convincingly, but lost so close against the Arizona Cardinals, and then lost. So they're like, they also lost against the Rams here in this kind of, situation. So they're already 1-2 with their division opponents. But this right now, it's really interesting, though, because the Chiefs, close games that they've been playing, it feels like they've been playing a little bit too comfortable. But I'm going to take the points here. I think the Chiefs might narrow this one out. But I do think we'll see more of Ricky Pearsall. A lot of this, really, it's going to depend on situational play. But I'm not going to take the point against Andy Reid because Andy Reid off a bye is still very, very good and still has a winning record. I'll take it 24-23. All right, the interesting Sunday night football game, Davante Adams' debut with the Jets. I'll take him -1 here. So 2 debuts right now for both these teams, Russell Wilson and Davante Adams. So my one big thing with the Jets, I did see at least their offense slowly improve from what we've seen after they've demoted, when they demoted Nate Hackett and they fired Robert Saleh. There's a bit of that difference. Now, defensively might be a problem, but they're already on a 3-game losing streak. They want to get back on the high horse to end up winning again. So it depends on how these kinds of games are going to match up and look like. Now, Pittsburgh, we know that their offense looked like an absolute BB gun. But they're 4-2 right now, but I'm holding my breath with how things are going to honestly look with Russell Wilson starting. I love their defense, but you've got to be able to generate offense. I think the Jets, with Davante Adams' debut, I feel like this could be a game they could run away with. With -1 is all I need. I'm going to take the Jets points here on the road in Pittsburgh and take them to win 24-21. Lamar Jackson, 22-1 against the NFC, and I will take him here to win again at -3.5 for the Ravens. I mean, this Ravens offense now is starting to click. It's starting to find itself. And by the way, the Ravens already are on this hot streak at 4-1 to start the 5-game stretch. They're 4-2 now. But you know what? It's looked very, very promising for them. Now, both these teams are 4-2. The only difference of it is Tampa's defense is young. Okay, that's one that we know could be a little bit questionable all throughout this entirety of the game. But the Ravens defense, however, it really has kind of taken a toll a bit because the highest they've given up is 38 points, which is one thing that they cannot have happen again. But against NFC opponents, 22-1, I'm going to take the winning quarterback against the NFC, and I'll take the Ravens here to win. It'll be a fun game through and through. But one that I think Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield, with as much as he has that chip on his shoulder, I'll take him to win here 27-23. And the last Monday Night Football game, the Chargers and the Cardinals. Give me the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Coming off of that big win against the Denver Broncos. Now, the thing about the Chargers, okay, they have mentioned DJ Chark. He's been practicing. They're hoping that he will be ready for Arizona, but it's still a little bit questionable to me. But Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, a little bit questionable. But here's the problem with the Arizona Cardinals now, 2-4, and in the last 5 games of this outing, this defense hasn't been able to defend at all. 41, 20, 42, 24, 30, or 23. They only boat raced the Rams because they were decimated with injuries, only giving up 10. But after all that, 20, 42, 23, 34. This is a Cardinals team that defensively, they struggle to hold a lot of opponents up, and especially against that run game. Now, the one thing that I think the Chargers really do have the edge on is the run game started coming alive again with J.K. Dobbins. Now, with Gus Edwards right now, he's been practicing, and so we'll see how he'll look this upcoming week. I love what I saw with Kamani Vidal with at least the pass game. So the Chargers really do figure out ways to end up winning in these big spots. So I'm going to take the Chargers here on primetime game, Monday Night Football. Jim Harbaugh, there's nothing like it, honestly, to take. I'll take him here on the road in Arizona against Kyler Murray. If they could get pressure on him, just like they did with Bo Nix, they'll be in good shape, 27-21. And there you have it, NFL Prime Predictions Week 7. Chase and I have just been on fire with these lately. So, taking the Patriots plus points, my underdogs there. I'm taking the Falcons -3, Bills 9.5, Bengals 6, Texans +3, Colts -3, Vikings at -1, Giants +3, Raiders +3, Commanders at 9.5, Chiefs at +1, Jets -1, and Ravens 3.5, and the Chargers 1. So there's a lot of games that are basically set at 1. So that's a part that I honestly think could be a very, very good gimme there. So I like with the way that things are kind of shaping up from here. So getting the extra points, it's going to be interesting. So, it's really good. Getting extra points in my IR. I just got Ricky Pearsall, might have 1 to 3 catches, 19 yards. Good stat line for the first game after you got shot. Yeah. So hopefully, with Ricky Pearsall, I'm excited to honestly see this kid. I don't know how many targets he'll end up getting because they got to get Brandon Ayuk to work. And Brandon Ayuk just really has to show up. So I'm not sure how this is honestly going to really work itself out. But I'm telling you, this is going to be interesting to see exactly how this turned out. So, again, I think in the end, I think about at least borderline 5 to 7 targets at best. So that's my kind of takeaway from here. So we'll see. It's it's definitely going to be a fun game nonetheless. I think with everything kind of going on, with at least with the, because the Niners are getting everybody back. The Chiefs already right now, they may be without a receiver with Juju Smith-Schuster. So who knows exactly how that's going to turn out. But it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot to really kind of process. But if the Niners really do pull away with this win, hopefully it's going to be one that will be the Chiefs' first loss, because they can only win so many close games until that is the first loss that they suffer. So they can't win them all. They really, really can't win them all. So we'll see how the rest of this game really does pan out, but I'm not going to be surprised with Andy Reid off a bye. I refuse to do that. So, but those are definitely my favorite picks up from there. That's it, guys. That's going to do it here on the Snake Sports Talk Show, wherever and however you may be watching and listening, and wherever you guys find your podcast as well. We are all on audio. You guys want merchandise like this, go and check out snakesportstalkshow.com. All of our merchandise is there. Powered by Fourth Wall. We've also got a special kind of sale for you. When you use promo code SPOOKY24 as the promo code, you'll get 25 additional % off when you purchase merchandise is up to $75. Not a trick, but certainly a treat for you guys to rep up your favorite show here on all social media, the Snake Sports Talk Show. snakesportstalkshow.com is the merchandise website. Link is in the description as well. Go online and shop. Spooky24 for the promo code before checkout. Show sponsored by BetUS. $50 or more in your deposit. Matches up to 125% of up to $2,000 in your first 3 deposits when you use it. BetUS, where the game begins, and SeatGeek. SeatGeek.com. Download it also on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store for your next planned event. With the most affordable prices on seats and the best seats in the house wherever your next venue is. Promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off of your first purchase of your first ticket when you use SeatGeek, the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Take care, you guys. We'll see you all next week here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. See you later, everyone.